see Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella and also Cruel Intentions. Now, I don't believe we've had Cinderella here before, so that's rather important. It's won a Tony Award. It's been nominated, I think, 8 or 9 times. When it came out, I think it was around about 2012, 2013. So that's the really big one, and I think I'm the only one who's seen that. But let me kick off with that, and you guys can jump in as required. I suppose you all know the Cinderella story. How young were you when you were first introduced to it, Dave?
Oh, well, I think I was a baby. I remember my mum reading me the original story of Cinderella, and I think I even had something that most of the younger audience wouldn't know about, a vinyl record that told the story as well, with actors doing the voices.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And what about you, Peter? How young do you think you were when you heard Cinderella first time?
Look, I can't remember, but I do remember seeing a television version of Cinderella, which was made in the late 60s, which was shown here on some station. I can't remember, but I haven't seen it really.
And what about you, Greg?
Mum read me the story when I was a little kid, and I remember seeing the Disney version, and that's about it. I don't remember how young I was, but pretty young.
So all of you know the Cinderella story, the one about the poor servant, the evil stepmother and her taunting stepsisters. Well, think again, because the creatives behind the musical have shaken things up, even if the essence of the tale remains unchanged. I really like that, because, I mean, you go along expecting something and then you get something else. So that really took me by surprise. Yes, Cinderella still gets to go to the ball and catch the eye of the prince, but no, the prince doesn't go from house to house to see whether the errant shoe fits. Because that's my recollection. That's what happened, wasn't it? That the prince went from house to house, home to home, in the kingdom? Yeah?
Yeah.
No, not here. And then here as well, there's more to one of the stepsisters than there is in the classic yarn. And you've got liberal lashings of good humour and romance, magic and delight. And it's good, clean family fun. Plenty to satisfy adults as well as children. I'm trying to think about this in the context of, say, movies. What was the first movie that we saw that, well, appealed? It was a sort of a family entertainment, but it had a lot more for adults as well. And I was thinking about Aladdin, maybe? Was that one of the first that did it? And Robin Williams' characterisations and things that really stood out for me. Can you think of an earlier adaptation of a sort of classic cartoon or fairy tale where there was enough there for adults, or, if you like, even more there for adults than there was for children? Any takers on that?
Yeah, I'd probably go right back to the early Disney cartoons with, like, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. They were big family affairs when they first came out.
Yeah, but I'm sort of saying family affairs, but where there's a lot for adults to chew on, and almost more for adults than there are for children. Can you think of an example of that other than...
Yes, Wizard of Oz.
The original Wizard of Oz, really?
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. What about cartoon adaptations that remain cartoons? Because cartoons these days, or animations, can have only adult appeal, or they can have crossover appeal. And a lot of what we see from Disney is crossover appeal. But what cartoons or animations can you think of that specifically appeal to adults? Any thoughts?
I don't know, it was Flintstones, the TV show.
Yeah, but okay. I must admit, Flintstones was my favourite cartoon, no question about it. But I mean, I was relatively young when I was seeing that.
But still got plenty for adults in there with some of the other themes it explores as well.
There's been quite a number. In fact, I think there's Oscar-winning animation or cartoon movies. What was the one set in the Middle East where they were talking about the nastiness going on? This was a few years ago. Peter, you might. I'm not giving you enough information, I suppose, but
the Birds of Kabul.
The Birds of Kabul. Yeah.
Yep.
Was it the Birds? Or was something else at Kabul?
I'm thinking too of Waltz with Bashir.
Yes. Yeah. They were such imposing films, and this is where it's really difficult, because some people simply won't go along and see an animated movie. Others will not go along, and I spoke to somebody this week, they won't go along and see something that requires reading. And they really are missing out. I don't know how else to emphasise this than to sort of say you should start and do something, and you see a film like either of those that you've used as examples, and you think, wow, right? And it works at every level. So it doesn't have to be. And similarly, if somebody makes a black and white movie, and they're very rare these days, but if you go along and see it, I mean, there was an Oscar winner not so many years ago as well. So to cut yourself off from that is to cut yourself off from a lot of very, very strong entertainment. Anyway, let's get back to Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. You've got a fox and a raccoon becoming the coach drivers. Now, that's not my recollection of the original story, guys. Fox and a raccoon, being turned by the fairy godmother from their animal state to the human state. The leads are really wonderful. The chemistry between them is noteworthy. And you've got an actor that I've not seen before called Shubhshri Kandia. She is quite the revelation as Ella. And this is the character, rather than Cinderella, Ella. Crisp, clear, melodic vocal tone is just brilliant, delightful. And why Ella is labelled Cinderella is explained as part of the narrative arc. Because, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I always thought Cinderella was Cinderella, not Ella. Am I right or wrong?
No, in the one that I listened to on the vinyl record, her name was Ella, but her stepsisters used to call her Cinderella because she used to have to sleep in the fireplace of a night time to get warmth after the fire went out.
Right. Yep. Okay. Well, yeah. So you've got to. So it's funny. I didn't recall that at all. Ainsley Mellum capitalises upon self-deprecating humour, which is a really. I mean, some people can pull it off better than others. He does a brilliant job, and that's associated with his character Prince Topher, and he backs it up with a really strong singing voice. Now, you would be familiar, Dave, with Sylvie Palladino, no doubt, as a songstress. Boy, oh boy, she sparkles as Mad Marie / the fairy godmother, and she enjoys some really big moments. You've seen Harry Potter, have you?
No, I haven't yet, no.
Have any of the others amongst you seen Harry Potter yet on stage?
No.
All right, one of the things that I need to talk to you about, and I have already in previous weeks, is the way the magic unfolds there. And suddenly something becomes something else. It's now transposed to other theatre, and it's in Cinderella. The costumes, suddenly, like you blink and you miss, and you don't have to have people standing around to undress and redress somebody. It just happens. And it's just, I mean, I'm just agog. It happened a few times in Cinderella, and I'm thinking, oh my golly, how the hell did they do that? I'd like to learn the magic trick. And of course I liked it, being mysterious. But that's really, really strong. Todd McKenney, boy, does he do this well. He's flawless as Sebastian. That's the manipulative attendant of the prince. And he knows how to milk crowd-pleasing effect. He does it really, really expertly. Matilda Moran grabs the latitude given to the stepsister Gabrielle, and she impresses doing so. And Bianca Bruce nails entitled and mouthy as fellow stepsister Charlotte. She's a real scene stealer. That's the best way I can put it with regards to Bianca Bruce. A familiar actor, Bettina Bursell, gifted some really choice lines, very evil lines as Ella's brutal stepmother, who's called Madame by her natural offspring, and basically makes those lines count. And Daniel Bell showcases his depth in delivery as Lord Pinkleton. He's the man who delivers royal proclamations. Josh Gardner gives a deliberately, amusingly nervy performance. That's what's asked of him, and he does it with aplomb as the frustrated commoner and do-gooder with designs on one of the sisters. The music, the lyrics, very easy on the ear. Rodgers and Hammerstein worked into the storyline, stunning, seamlessly choreographed dancing, really beautiful numbers, and the costuming, rich, beautiful gowns. William Ivy Long is responsible, and they really are visual highlights. The sets by Anna Luizos and the props, they transport us to the magical world that's traditionally been associated with the Cinderella fairy tale. It's directed by Mark Brokaw with musical direction from Simon Holt. And what can I say about Cinderella other than it's enchanting, it's uplifting, it's really enjoyable, and a great night of entertainment. And it's playing at the Grand Regent Theatre. There's no theatre like it in Melbourne. It is just splendid. You sit down, the seats, there's space between rows of seats, which there is not enough of in most theatres, and you can see it until the 22nd of July, and you just sort of stare up at the heavens when you're in the Regent Theatre, because the high ceiling and the ornate nature of the place makes it something mighty special. So Melbourne first, then it goes to Brisbane, and then it goes to Sydney. So it is Cinderella, but it's actually labelled Rogers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. Really,
Alex, did you realise it was actually written by Rogers and Hammerstein for TV back in the 60s with Julie Andrews in the lead role?
Yes, I did, and I'm very pleased you've mentioned that. Yes, and they've added songs, haven't they, to make this what it is. So it's 130 minutes, so 2 hours 10 minutes plus a 20-minute interval, and again, it's just really ear-pleasing, the music that they've created, which is fantastic. So you are on J-Air, and this is First on Film.